Pops, recently we've been getting some decent news on the chip shortage front. That being said, that's going to have a positive impact, we think, on supply chains and the amount of inventory in the market kind of down the line. The latest data for December in terms of new car supply and pricing, still not looking pretty.
What have the manufacturers wrought?
Yeah. The numbers overall in terms of days supply of inventory and total number of new vehicles that are in inventory on dealer lots, it went down with the latest data that we've captured from, I guess, November, but it's published at the beginning of December. Let me run you through some of the numbers here, Dad.
Please.
We'll start here with the vehicles that have the most inventory. I think that's a great place to start. In terms of the most inventory based on days supply, we've got the EcoSport, which has consistently had a very high days supply, had 133 days supply last month, has 164 days supply this month. There's 12,100 EcoSports out there in inventory right now, and they're not selling particularly fast. The E-Series van, the Ford Fusion, the Ford Mustang, the Ford Transit.
See, now, those Mustangs, I got to believe that 95% of those are pre-sold. Is that the Mach-E or just...
No, just the normal Mustang.
Oh, okay. Well, then those might not be.
Now, the Maverick, however, Dad, there's 5,300 Mavericks in inventory right now with a 49-day supply.
Yeah.
That day's supply went up 31 days, month over month.
I find that hard to believe. I mean, with all the orders they took for Mavericks, okay, because it was a relatively inexpensive base type of pickup truck. How could they? They all have to be pre-sold. They just have to be. I'm sorry, there's not enough Mavericks to dampen the supply, the demand for them. There just isn't.
Now, it's worth mentioning here. This data comes from Automotive News. We have the market day supply information. This is. Don't shoot the messenger here.
I'm just saying. I'm thinking that maybe Ford doesn't necessarily share.
100%.
Yeah, the most honest representation of those numbers.
The Volvo 60 series vehicles, there's a 42-day supply of them out on the market right now, and Ford Expeditions, a 41-day supply. Now, it's worth mentioning as we get started here, we only get this data from about 13 or 14 OEMs. So there are many manufacturers that are missing on this list because they simply don't report this data. That being said, Cox Automotive does have somehow access to it. And last time we looked at those numbers, they had some brands that had over 100-day supply in this current market, which it's really hard for us to wrap our heads around if that's accurate or not.
I think so many of these numbers are bogus, but that's just me. That's just thinking that, well, some of these manufacturers are really manipulating the data.
Let's jump right into vehicles that don't have a lot of supply. For example, our dear friends over at Subaru. Their day's supply, if you remember, last month was 4. Their day's supply now is 5.
They are. I mean, they admit it. They are struggling. They have just found it virtually impossible to be able to have enough inventory supply for what the demand is. And this will be the second year in a row where their sales year over year will decline. And the reason for the decline is not because they couldn't have sold the cars. They could have. The reason for the decline is they haven't been able to produce the cars for the customers to buy. And so I believe their numbers are exceedingly accurate.
Yeah, no, and probably reflective of more companies that are in the space as well, but their numbers just, appear a little bit higher. Like, for example, Mazda. I think we're finally starting to see some real numbers for Mazda, Dad. Mazda trucks, so your CX-5s, your CX-30s, whatever, all the SUVs, down to a 7-day supply of Mazdas. For Mazda North America, a 7-day supply. I mean, that's where Subaru's been all year, and now Mazda's catching up to them. And we've got the prior months here, Dad. Last month, it was a 10-day supply. The month before that, a 13-day supply. Mm-hmm. So a continued precipitous drop-off in Mazda supply. If you think you're going to get any type of end-of-year Mazda savings, you're not, obviously.
No, you're not going to get a lot of savings anywhere. I mean, I recently saw a Lexus December to Remember sale, and basically it was, hey, remember when we used to give discounts?
Hey, we have a car on the lot. Come buy it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Honda Insight here, Dad, with an 8-day supply. None of them out there. Hyundai Cars and Trucks, 9-day supply. Hyundai is officially into the single digits as well. So Mazda and Hyundai are the new entrants to the single-digit supply club to join Subaru. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And these numbers, even though the chip shortage numbers have improved dramatically, these numbers on the inventory side have not, and that's because it takes some time once you start getting the chips in to actually producing the vehicles and then getting them to the dealers' lots. So the inventory struggles will continue for quite some time.
Absolutely. Just looking briefly here at Acura, Mdx inventories actually went up by 300 units, but the days supply dropped by 1. The only reason that could happen is because more people are buying them. The days supply concept, let me pull that up on the screen, Pops. Days supply means the number of days needed to sell a vehicle, all vehicles in inventory based on the previous month's daily selling rate. So if Acura's inventory of MDXs went up by 300 units, but the day's supply went down by 1, that means the daily or the rate of sales for the prior month was greater than the amount of new vehicles that were coming onto dealer lots.
It's what's known as travel rate, and the travel rate has increased. So even though there was a minor increase and let's face it, 300 more MDXs, and there's about 300 Acura dealers. That's one extra MDX for each dealership. That's not a lot.
Let that sink in for a moment. Like when you were in the business full time, it was all about allocations from the factory. Your allocation each month is one new MDX.
Well,
that doesn't work.
Your allocation could be more than one new MDX.
You're only going to get
just one additional, compared to the month before. So but still, everything is based typically on what they call rate of travel, how quickly you sell it. The more you turn, the more you earn. But everybody's in a situation where there's nothing to turn, so and they can't provide you with more that you've earned because they can't produce the vehicles. So it's really troubling for everybody, but it's most troubling when you get right down to it for the consumers, because they're the ones that ultimately pay way too much for all these vehicles when they do get sold.
Definitely. We saw Honda's market day supply jump from 17 to 19. About 6,000 more vehicles are in inventory this month than there were last month. That's a good sign. Genesis, we saw their day supply drop by a week from 33 to 26. There's 1,000 fewer Genesis vehicles on dealer lots today than there were last month. And if you remember last month, we were at 6,500 Genesis vehicles in inventory, down from 7,800. So Genesis, and we saw the numbers for Hyundai and for Kia, right? Or Hyundai's right, coming up next year on the list. Like, we're starting to see some of those brands, some of those Asian brands, struggle more and more with actually getting vehicles to market. And this is in the midst of Toyota saying December is going to be the largest December in terms of production we've ever had. Bit of a juxtaposition in terms of what we're seeing right now and what the projections might be for next month.
But don't forget, what gets built now does not get into dealership inventory now. So
definitely 100%. Kia inventory levels, Dad, staying steady. The day supply went from 12 to 13. We talked about Mazda at the intro, down from a 10-day supply to a 7-day supply. Just to give you some context here, 2 months ago in October, there were 12,400 Mazda vehicles in inventory at dealer lots. Today, there are 6,000.
That sounds like half.
That doesn't last particularly long.
No.
Subaru, their inventory levels kind of give you the same context here as Mazda. They were at 8,100 back in October, vehicles in inventory with a 5-day supply. Now they're at 7,400 in dealer inventory, again at a 5-day supply. So things have stayed relatively steady there. Lexus inventory levels, Dad, up to a 23-day supply from a 21-day supply last month. But again, the October to December comparison, nearly 25,000 vehicles in inventory in October, only 18,000 in inventory right now.
Yeah, unbelievable numbers.
Toyota, let's take a peek at Toyota. This is kind of where you can see a little bit of the momentum. So Toyota's days supply of inventory actually dropped pretty significantly from 21 to 17. That being said, if you look at the past 3 months, their total inventory is 97,900 units. Well, in October, they had 83,200. So they've dropped from November, but they're up still significantly from where they were back in October.
Yes.
And finally here, we'll take a peek at Volvo. Volvo's inventory levels have decreased slightly month over month, down from 8,700 to 8,000, a 25-day supply instead of a 27. Volvo consistently, Dad, has had decent days supply of inventory throughout the entire pandemic.
Well, yeah, if you consider a 25-day supply of cars a decent supply. But
Relative
in today's
to their
world,
peers,
that
yeah.
is a decent supply.
Yeah. What's the average cost of a new car in today's market, Dad? What's it, something like 46?
The average transaction price, I believe, last month was a little over $46,000 for a new vehicle in the United States of America. And so MSRPs are only going up, transaction prices are only going up, and inventory levels seem to only be going down.
If you are going to buy a car in this market, check out the community forum. It's 100% free. Join YAA.com. You'll find it from there. We also have Deal School, which is a great resource as you're navigating this process. And on the community forum, get your deal reviewed. If you have questions about a lease deal or a finance deal, if you're wondering if the price you've got is fair from the dealership, post it on the forum. This is what we're here to do. The whole team, the whole YAA team there to support you. So take a peek at that.
Absolutely.
All right, Pops, thanks for running through it with me.
My pleasure. I can't wait till we do this, and there's actually, I don't know, a major influx in inventory.